We start off the season with her not knowing, seemingly, where he is.
He doesn't know where he is, yeah. He doesn't know where he is, yeah.
So they're separate, and we know that she's not going to be happy with that status quo for very long. Happy with that status quo for very long.
And the only place where he can do that is with a new friend, Errol. He takes care of in a place with mental with people who struggle with their mental health. But outside of those walls, outside of the sanatorium, he is trying not to look at people and trying not to anyone to see where he's from, who he is, because he's a danger. And he's very afraid of what he might become, because he knows that every time you channel, you just go closer to madness.
What we're about to look at is also from Screen Rant. These are interviews with the actors talking about what happens on season 2. They're divided into clips. Once those clips are done, I'll allow you to respond. Gird your loins, gentlemen. Gird your loins.
I can say that the love is very real and is still there, and hopefully you see it again on screens in a way.
More boot knocking, potentially. That, of course, was this show's Not NYNAEVE talking about her relationship with Lan, which apparently Lan is madly in love with show NYNAEVE.
The fact that this is their priority, the NYNAEVE and Lan relationship in book 2, is very telling and a very bad sign.
I mean, it's too early, it's too fast. It destroys any of the nuance that happens. It destroys half the storylines they go through separate from each other, to get all the things they go through separate to get together, and all the things that they do. I feel like Lan and NYNAEVE's love story needs to breathe like it does in the books. Whether you want to change a few things here and there, fine. But we got to get to the sexing. We got to get to the... Everybody's got to be sleeping together. We can't... Whatever.
This is why Rafe Judkins aged these characters up to introduce this. Many people have said it, the CW level of romance, or not romance, just basically knocking boots like it's a college dormitory. Now, this is the show's Not NYNAEVE talking about her character in season 2.
It's bizarre. I think, especially in the first season, it almost felt like we were working in like our own little hibernation space, and that this was never going to come out because we'd been working on it, I think, for the better part of 2 years. So it was such a relief that it got released, and even more exciting that we got a season 2. I think we started filming this in 2021, so it has been such a journey of keeping things tight and also remembering what we filmed years and years ago.
What's fascinating about that is them talking about the durations and the time involved here. Now, are they going to say it was COVID that caused the delay in this? I am still of the opinion that there was another script for this show.
You remember when he opened the bag?
What's a blasted badger doing in my bag?
I think this was going to be a lot more adult, maybe a PG-13 type of a show based upon the script leak that we all saw that PDF and reported on probably 2 years ago. But the interesting thing about this is all that when these interviews were recorded, these have been sitting on a shelf, and from the way they're talking, that these were done, I don't know, sometime between May of 2022 and now. Why Screen Rant got to do this interview, I don't know.
I just think it's funny she doesn't remember anything about season 1.
I know.
She doesn't remember any of it. She's I don't know. Like, I couldn't read the books. They were too complicated. They screwed me up for my acting because we're two completely different characters. Like, she doesn't even know. Like, is she that busy? Maybe she's doing a lot of work these days.
I think EGEWENE is up against one of the most evil forces of the entire series.
No.
Without going into too many spoilers, you know, I think some of the antagonists that come into our season really make the stakes are a lot higher. And it also complicates things. It complicates relationships. You see that the water is muddied because of the people that come into the fold.
Emotional journeys, adversaries that are powerful and dark like the Shan-Chan. Go ahead and respond, Steve. I think you're probably going to explode.
I just, it's a complete, she doesn't know what she's talking about. It's a complete misrepresentation of the Shan-Chan. Okay? Like, people want to say they're evil. They're not, like, they are not evil. They spent years eradicating evil from Shan-Chan. You might not like how they do things. You might not agree with how they do things. But they are not inherently evil. This is just how their society functions. Now, whether you like that or not, that's a whole different discussion. But they are not on the side of the evil people. Maybe you just are not skilled enough to tell that story. If that's it, fine. But, like, then just don't tell it. Just tell a different story. Make your own up.
The question that I ask is, if you were going to say that the Shan-Chan are evil, are you going to say then that Mauritania's society today is evil? Because that's a society that, you know, has slaves but still sort of lives in a almost feudalist, less technologically developed society. And, you know, I'm willing to say that that society is evil, but I don't think that the people talking about the Shan-Chan like this are willing to say that that society is evil. So if you want to say the Shan-Chan are evil, cool, I'll sign on with that. But I think that the criteria used to make that decision isn't necessarily the most consistent, if that makes sense.
I get that. Like, what they do some evil things, right? But that's just what they know.
Yeah, they're not dark friends, and you have talked about it many, many times, Steve.
Well, there's no blight. There's no dark. Well, I mean, there's dark friends. There's dark friends everywhere. They worm their way in, but there's no shadow spawn. There's no blight. They've won the battle on Shan-Chan for all rights and purposes. So saying that they're aligned with the Dark One when they've done nothing but eradicate dark things on their side of the world is just false.
Honestly, I think the Two Rivers set was exactly how I imagined it from the book. I mean, down to, you know, the chickens running past and like.
Go ahead. That's why I paused it. Gentlemen, have at it.
Go ahead. You go. I can't get over that they blew it up. They're having to rebuild it. Sorry. Go ahead. I can't get over it.
The one that immediately jumps out to me is book singular. That we should be talking about books plural.
Well, with everything that they did, it's the negative. It's what's omitted here. How crappy Tarvalon and the White Tower looked. I think you'll see something where she tries to correct what she's saying here in her subsequent answer.
Like the tree in the middle of the village, it made it so easy to slip into the world and the character. But I think a favorite set of mine that I wasn't acting on was probably the Eye of the World set.
The Eye of the World set.
It's the same set. That's what they blew up to put the They blew up the Two Rivers to put the Eye of the World there.
I'm not sure how these interviews help.
In a place with with people who struggle with their mental health.
I'm Salty Traveling C. You have a good one.